LOA Today. I'm Walt here with Louis D'Souza. It's Monday, October the 28th, 2019. It's 4 p.m. in New York and 1 p.m. in Los Angeles. That's 9 p.m. in London, 5 a.m. in Tokyo, 6 a.m. in Sydney, Australia, and wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy to see that Jeffrey has been... got some music coming through there. I'm happy to see that Jeffrey was posting in the live chat that he has found his appreciation groove. And you know how those feel? Yes, I do know how they feel. And congratulations, Jeffrey. You stay in that groove. Louis knows this better than anybody. You stay in that groove and everything good starts to happen just because you're feeling good all the time by expressing what you're appreciating, right? Oops, you're muted there, Louis. Oh, that's all right. I think he's dealing with stuff. He's trying to get Astrid on the phone. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're going to see if we can get Astrid to join us today. Astrid Kauffmann, of course, is our resident Jiu-Jitsu expert. Let's see if we can get her in here.
That time change has affected things.
Oh, that's right. You guys had a time change this weekend. I forgot about that. Yes. So it's actually, let me tell you,
it's 8 p.m. now. Yeah.
It's 8 p.m. Oh, my goodness. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so scratch what I said about it being 9 p.m. in London. It's actually 8 p.m. in London. Oops.
Oops, yeah.
Oops. Yeah, we did that last year, too, if I remember correctly.
We did, yeah. I was like, what? Podcast now?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I was just picking up on what Jeffrey said. Jeffrey was saying that he was in an appreciation groove, and he says, you know how those feel. And I was just telling him, yeah, they feel great. That's when you know you're in that place where everything's working out nicely for you. It's a good place to be in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, appreciation lowers the resistance beautifully.
Doesn't it?
Amazingly, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I interrupted what you said. What were you saying? I apologize.
I was saying you've lost your video.
Oh, again? It keeps going away. I don't know what's going on here.
There we go.
Yeah.
You're back.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. For some reason, my camera just decides every once in a while to go on vacation.
So you say it was Jeffrey?
Yeah, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, I want to know what you're appreciative of, Jeffrey. I'm really curious.
Oh, yeah. Anything you want to share about that would be great. I think he was partly responding to my comment to him. He had asked how my weekend was, and I told him we've been visiting with family, and he says that's awesome. But he was also I think it was kind of coming out of that, too. So, yeah, give us some details, Jeffrey. We'd love it. You've been promising for quite some time to join us on a podcast. This is a good one to do it on, you know? I mean, feel free. Just jump on. You know where the link is. If there's anybody who's one of our listeners who knows where the link is, it's you. So, come on.
Don't be shy with us. No.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be shy with us because we're just too nice.
I'm not
Except
sure.
when we're not.
The people who know me well would say that.
There's some people on Facebook who definitely would not say that about me today. Well, it was one of those deals where I'm seeing people post stuff that I know is just blatantly wrong, and I could have just left it alone, but I said, no, you're missing the boat here. That's not right. Let's go the right direction here so that you can actually get this, so you can actually put this to use for yourself. And yeah, or more importantly, I was a little bit disturbed that people were giving messages to somebody else that was incorrect information, and so these people who are looking for guidance were getting guidance in the wrong direction. And I'm sure that they eventually would have gotten guidance in the right direction because the wrong direction would have produced the wrong results. But I figured I'd save them a little bit of, sideways motion there.
Video again, Walt.
Oh, the video again. Ah. Okay, camera, you and I are going to have a little talk. I don't know what that's all about. It just doesn't like to stay connected. Let's try all the connections.
Yeah, I lost you again.
I'm just trying to plug everything in and see if that makes a difference. I don't know why that's happening. But anyway, how are things at your end? Anything new happening?
Trying to think what's happened this week. So, doing some more decorating in the house, which I'm really enjoying.
Nice.
You just feel good ripping things apart and sanding them and filling holes and then painting it and it all looks beautiful.
It's amazing what paint can do. A little paint over almost anything will make it look good.
Well, it's not really that. It's more making sure that the little cracks in the corners are like cleaned out and put some, put a new in and then paint over it. So you've got the foundation really good.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the law of attraction. You really need to understand the law of attraction clearly, and then you can really appreciate it. Get that foundation of the LOA like spot on.
That's a good observation, and it's very valid in relation to what I was talking about with those people online. Because if you don't have the right foundation, you're going to get, you can probably paint it, but you're painting over a mess that's going to show up later on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're painting over the old mistakes.
And when you paint them over, that's like sweeping it under the rug. It's eventually
it is. Yeah, those lumps are still there, and
that's right.
It don't look so cool, mate.
and personally, I find it to be more confusing when you don't have the right information to plug in, because now you're trying to, we let's be honest, we may be working to connect internally. We may be learning to connect to our inner being and all that kind of thing. But ultimately, we use logic in order to understand some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. If the logic doesn't work, then our minds just kind of go boink, and we don't know what to do with
it. Welcome, Astrid.
There's Astrid. Hey there.
Hey, Astrid. Hello. Can you hear me?
We can indeed. How are you doing?
Wonderful. I'm sorry about the time lag. I completely forgot.
I am sorry, too. Louis and I did this last year. We completely forgot that.
That's okay. It's an annual thing, then.
It is an annual thing. And we just neglected to remember that you guys go back an hour earlier than we do here in the States. So...
And it changes at different times.
It changes at different times to make it even more confusing. Yeah. So...
The thing that's really confusing for me is in South Africa there is no time shift.
Yeah, right.
So you come out here and you really struggle to get your head around the idea of shifting time. Like, time hasn't really shifted, God. It's just an illusion.
Well, that it is, yes. And it gets darker, so...
That's an
so what are we
point,
talking
though.
About?
Well, actually, that makes an interesting topic right there. Time shift. Because time shifting is something I've actually experienced. I'm kind of curious to know what Louis' take is on this, but I got into talking with it. Let's see, who was I talking with? I think I was talking with Linda Armstrong. I think I talked a little bit about it with Cindy Chavez offline. I think I even talked about it with Alex a couple times. But I've actually had experiences where all of a sudden I found myself where I shouldn't be based on what was happening time-wise. There's a kind of a classic story that got told along these lines. There was a group of people who were on a bus going to, I don't know where. It was like a Machu Picchu kind of a thing. They were going to some place that was very spiritual, high energy, all that kind of stuff. And they were all pretty knowledgeable, spiritually speaking, a lot of law of attraction gurus and so forth. And the bus driver at one point stopped the bus and got out and was looking at his watch and looking around him. And the people inside didn't even notice at first until they finally realized the bus had stopped. One of them got out and went to ask him, "What are you doing?" And the driver said, "We shouldn't be here. we shouldn't be here for another hour. This isn't right."
Oh, wow.
They had time shifted. And so I'm just curious to see what you guys think about that.
Well, I have experienced it in a very dramatic way.
Really?
Where it could have ended in a very bad way, and basically, it's nearly like I went through a time shift to avoid something very bad happening, and it was so weird. It was nearly like I was in two parallel worlds. 1 minute I was in one world, and 1 minute I wasn't. And it was just something happened, and it was amazing. It had to do with being in traffic, and one of those situations where all of a sudden something happens, and you're just like extracted right from that situation, and then all of a sudden nothing happens.
Wow!
But what was really bizarre is that everything for a few minutes, everything stopped, like this very, very busy roundabout. Or circle, or I don't know what you call them in the States.
Roundabouts, rotaries, yeah.
Roundabout, very, very busy roundabout with traffic coming from all directions. everything just stopped. It was like being in a complete time warp. And I stopped because I didn't know what was going on. It was just the most bizarre thing. And then all of a sudden it just started again.
Wow.
It was, it was an amazing experience. And if that's not deep law of attraction, I don't know what is.
Well, I think you're probably right. Yeah. The last time I had something like this happen, it was much more benign than that. There was no imminent traffic accident or anything like that. I was literally just driving to one of our customers' sites, and as I was getting ready to make the turn off of the U.S. highway onto the side street that would take me to his street, all of a sudden I found myself about a half mile down the road at the Walmart. And I said, what just happened? What happened? I don't understand. I was just getting ready to turn right, and I'm here? What happened?
Aren't we lucky that driving is a fairly automated process?
But that's what so confused me, because it was not a case of, how you can kind of daydream and then you wonder, like, what did I focus on for the last half hour or something like that. It wasn't like that. I was literally looking for the turn, and then all of a sudden I was like a half mile past the turn.
Wow.
Yeah. Very strange.
So my take on it is probably not going to be liked very much.
Well, that's all right.
Anyway.
Don't let that hold you back, that little old thing.
It's kind of like the answer Abram would give. Who cares?
Well, actually, I care. I mean, is that a way? Was I propelled into the vortex and then, just spat out? If that's, in those minutes, was I? Because this is something that I've been wondering, actually. Was I in the vortex or?
So the answer to that could be something like, what do you want it to be? It could be,
sure.
It's just a thought. And the more you think about it, the more it'll become more real to you. So, the important thing is, does it help you manifest what you want? Is it helping you move forward?
Well, it gives me a sense that there is something, there is a higher consciousness and something that's looking out for me, definitely.
And the interesting thing I find about a lot of people who have guides and people looking out for them, et cetera, is that something outside yourself, or is it really yourself?
Well, I think it is.
I've always thought of it as something outside myself.
Outside yourself, most people have. But what I'm coming to, the great clarity and realization is that it's really ourselves, but ourselves can take any form it wants. That might appeal to us or might make us feel more inclined to follow it or understand it or believe it or like it or trust it or whatever, because we often don't trust ourselves much, so we'll make up a master or a guru or an angel or something else that we might have more faith or trust in, and then we image that up, and because we create our own universe. I mean, that's either true or it's not.
Sure. And maybe that is the thing, that we are so much more immanently powerful than we give ourselves credit for, that when we unleash that power, we're so freaked out by it and are also amazed by it that we don't even realize that it's us.
Well, the thing,
until we do.
the thing I'm starting to really get now is that I'm trying to think of something incredibly simple, like I made a cup of coffee just now. That's a manifestation.
It is.
Yeah.
And, if a guru walked through my window right now and stood in front of me, it's just a manifestation, and you learn that you can start controlling your manifestations. You can start deciding what you want to have come near you by changing your vibration to what you want to come near you. So you start looking at things in a very, very different light.
I agree with you. I think there's only one thing I would disagree with on that, because I agree with like 98% of what you just said. The only thing I would disagree with is the word just. It isn't just a manifestation. Wow, it's a manifestation. How cool is that?
I think I've been crucified with this one before. You're just about right, I think.
Well, everything is a manifestation then.
Absolutely it is. Yeah.
Everything is, yes. And when you can start appreciating the little things,
yes,
then you've got endless appreciation, which we were talking about earlier with, what's his name? Jeffrey. I don't know if Jeffrey came back to you with what he was appreciating more. But,
he's actually trying to join us on the page. I sent him a link again to the Zoom page.
Okay, so, cool.
Yeah.
So, appreciation is key to lowering the resistance, and then being clear about what you want is very helpful to manifest it. So you've got these two components to the law of attraction, which kind of spur you forward and get you moving and change things. So yeah, it's really fun, because I remember my mentor saying to me many years ago, Louis, when you wake up in your bed, see your room, your wall, your curtains, your bed sheet linen, everything is new every morning. Try do that. And it's like, what? How the hell do you do that? But when you wake up in the morning, you start realizing, I've remanifested the curtains this morning. You start looking at it slightly differently. It's not like it needs to remain a curtain anymore. You now see the flexibility of the vibration of things.
Well, either that or else your mind is starting to boggle. And that usually happens with me whenever I try to do that same exercise of reminding myself. I don't quite say it that way. I just simply remind myself, I manifested everything in this room. And my mind goes, boink, what did you just say? It can't quite grasp it at times. Other times, sometimes I can get like little glimpses of, wow, that really is true. And there are other times my brain is saying, no, don't take me there. That hurts.
Yeah, I don't get that hurt part so much anymore. I really get the, I'm creating all this, I can change it. I'm creating all this, I can change it. So even if those thoughts hurt me, I'm just changing the thoughts.
That's
and
true,
you're just twisting everything until you're getting to that delicious stage where you're just lapping everything up and whoa, this is cool.
Well, it's like a muscle, isn't it? It's like a muscle that you're flexing. And when you say, I've created everything in this room or whatever, the first time you say it, you might feel really uncomfortable, or it might just not sit right, but you're flexing it, and then it just becomes a habit. It becomes part of you. It becomes different. So that's really cool.
Goes back to something my mentor once said to me, same person. She said, Louis, practice.
Practice.
I said, yeah, okay. She said, practice. I said, okay. She said, practice. Practice
makes manifest.
Practice. And she went on for half an hour, and I said, okay, I got it. And that's what it is with the law of attraction, and understanding that you create your reality. You start practicing it. You start practicing with the small things, because they're easier in the beginning, and then you just practice, and then practice makes perfect. I said practice makes practice because that's very law of attraction, isn't it? So whatever you're focusing on, yeah.
That's really good.
How about practice makes manifest?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. But then you must practice manifest.
Oh, right.
See, I don't think we really have to practice that one too much. I mean, because literally everything that comes into our experience we manifested. So I mean, we're doing it so easily.
That's not the issue. Once the law of attraction guys have got that, then you get what everybody else is getting, which is I actually want what I want and not what I don't want. So I want to manifest more about what I want rather than manifesting more of what I don't want, because I realize I'm an endless manifester, and that'll never stop. So. Yeah. How did it go, Astrid? I remember you saying to me the last time we were chatting that you were going to practice if not that, something better. How did that go?
I'm still practicing.
You forgot, eh?
But no buts. I'm still practicing. I'm still,
It is a good one. It is a good one. If not that,
Yes.
something better. If not that, something better. Because it was great. We ordered some products, and they arrive on our door, and we open up the pack, and hey, I'm really excited to get these products, and they sent us extras. There's so many things that are just pouring in, and we phone them up and say, hey, you gave us some extra product. So don't worry, I'm not even going to bother with the courier sending them back. They're yours. I said, cool. So, there's just more things can happen all the time. And this just happened a few minutes ago. It's just, endlessly something else is happening. And it's not only that, it's something extra. And I mean, the products were worth, retail value about 70, 80 pounds.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah.
So,
of course, with what we were talking about before with time shifting, it's another form of manifesting that goes on there. But I think the reason it's such an interesting topic is because it's fun. I mean, this is a big portion of what's involved with being a conscious or a deliberate creator, picking what you like and focusing on that, instead of focusing on what you don't like. So I think there's a lot of value in focusing. If you find, now you don't personally perhaps find time shifting fun, so that's okay. But if I find time shifting fun, then I'm going to focus on it because I think it's pretty cool.
So let's define time shifting for you, just so we can play with it a bit.
Okay, for me, time shifting is where it seems from my perspective that I was at a certain time, certain hour, minute, second, and then suddenly I either moved forward or backward instantly by some quantity of time. In that case, it was probably about a minute.
So if you're understanding the law of attraction, our higher selves or our thoughts or our non-physical selves created the physical universe, which created the illusion of time.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that you have the ability naturally to play with it if you start understanding it.
Right.
Now, before we play with it, we have temporary experiences of what it's like to experience it. So we'll have like enlightened experiences where we go into nirvana or the blissful state of non-thinking, etc., where you tap into the vortex and you start feeling very clearly and you start living with no resistance, all those things that are in your vortex, and start playing with them like I've experienced once. So the other thing is I've had out-of-body experiences, and when you're out of body on the inner planes, or whatever you wish to call them, on the other dimensions, then you experience time very differently. Seriously, and you can live like 20 days there and come back and it's been 10 minutes. It's like completely different world. So I wouldn't say that I'm for or against time shifting. The statement that I asked somebody who was teaching, that they were quite good at out-of-body experiences, and they gave us a lecture on out-of-body experiences. And I'd had my own experiences, so I was sitting in the audience, and after having a lot of my own experiences, I put my hand up and I said to him, so why do you want to have out-of-body experiences? And he was like, wow, I've never been asked that question before. I said, what's the value to it? And he couldn't quite come up with anything besides curiosity or interesting. And it's why I brought in the statement with Astrid earlier that, who cares? Because how does it help you move forward? So I don't mind. I've had such a vast and array of different experiences come into my life, but are they of value?
Well, I guess in that context, yeah, I can see what the value is. The value is that because I like it, because I enjoy it, it helps me to focus my attention on it. And in my focusing attention on it, I learn more about it. I learn more about the fact that, like you said, time is an illusion, and it turns out I can actually shift time. I can shift my experience of time, and that's fun. This is one of the things that Richard Bach
and then about. If you go back to Abraham Hicks's teaching, fun is really, one of the best things you can do, because it means it's a higher vibration, means you're more in alignment with everything you want, which can allow everything that you want to come into your life, and so you can manifest it, which goes back to the real reason you want it is because it brings you closer to an understanding of how to get what's in the bank into your pocket.
And it's what Abraham says as well, that the reason you want to get into the vortex is because it makes you feel good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the easiest way to get into the vortex, is just for the purpose of it helping you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel good. I feel happy when I'm there. I feel happy when I'm in the vortex. I feel good when I'm in the vortex. It's fun when I'm in the vortex. Life is fun when I'm in the vortex. Mm-hmm. And then you can milk that and stay there a lot longer than if you get very specific.
I was enjoying that rampage of appreciation. I was starting to write.
Yeah, we should milk it. Let's milk it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that was something, because I really had difficulty sort of seeing this vortex thing like it was something outside of me, like it was something that was a thing,
the big problem.
Like a flying disc and all the rest of it. But I really didn't get it until I realized that it's actually not something that's a thing. It's like an unmanifest and manifest part of me, and it's the vibration that's important. So you raise your vibration by thinking the emotional thoughts that will get you into that higher vibration, into the vortex. And simply put, if you just say, I want to be in the vortex because it makes me feel good, bang, it's so much easier to get in there.
Yeah.
So
Astrid, you hit it bang on the head. So Abram does this little spiel where you're non-physical before you come into this physical universe, and your non-physical self takes on this vibration interpreting machine, and the two together play the game of the physical being. Now, a lot of us don't get that, and all the religions teach you got a soul, but, where's the soul, and does it stay with you or leave you, and, on all the rest of it. But once you kind of get that, you wouldn't have a physical body if you didn't have this big non-physical part of you floating around all over, inside, outside, everywhere. That is your power for you to tap into everything you want. You carry it around with you all the time, and you can't not. Even when you die, it's still there. It is a permanent fixture. And you start realizing that it vibrates at this vibration, and your physicalness vibrates at that vibration. And when you get into the vortex, all you're doing is you're coming up to yourself, your inner self. And then you're dropping out of it. And it's that dropping in and out, which is beautiful, because that's the contrast. And it'll never come down to your level. It'll always stay up there.
Yeah, they do.
Abraham makes that very clear.
Yeah, that's right. And that was another realization, that is very important to have, is that vibration never comes down to your level. You always need to go up to its vibration. Abraham doesn't come down to Esther's level, even though she desperately wants them to come down to her level. Come and play with me in the mud. I feel awful, and I want you to come and play with me in the mud. And no, that's not what they do.
By the way, Jeffrey was running into technical difficulties connecting to us on Zoom, so he's back to just being in the live stream audience and chatting. He says, I am appreciating this conversation. I appreciate that I can be a part of it in my own way for right now. I appreciate that everything will happen to me when it is supposed to happen. And I appreciate that you three are saying exactly the things I would be saying. So cool.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you, Jeffrey.
How's that for a
high five, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Really good. And
digital high fives.
Digital high five. Yeah, right. DH5. Yeah, okay. But all those things all add to the same thing, and that is despite he was trying to join us on the Zoom platform, for whatever reason that wasn't working, and he's still enjoying it. He's finding a way to like it. He's finding a way to say, I like what's going on here. This is good.
So that flexibility is what is ultimately important.
Yes.
Is no matter what the scenario is, the fact that I was a few minutes late because I got the time zone wrong, not stressing about it, just let me get the pieces together of the puzzle so that I can get my microphone and my screen and log in. Yeah, let's just get that done quickly and easily, and I'll be on in no time. And really, I mean, it took me the quickest I've ever taken, ever.
Me too.
I was
it was
completely
amazing.
Relaxed.
Me too.
Relaxed.
It was like boom, 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 and there I'm on. Great, hello. That was amazing. I've never done that before.
That's fun. That's good.
Yeah.
That's when you know well, it's also when you know you're in that vortex. That's when you're feeling good.
Yeah.
Because everything goes right. It's like it's what I call the green light feeling. You know, you're driving along and every light turns green, every single one of them. And after a while, you say, "Wow, geez, I wonder how long this is going to go. This is great."
Yeah, when that comes, it's cool. When the other shoe's going to drop, and boy, as soon as you start thinking that, it drops. Next light's red.
Well, that's why I think about the way I said. I asked myself, I wonder how long it's going to keep going.
Keep going, yes.
Yes. Like I'm anticipating the next green. The next green. It's like, oh wow, there's another one. Oh wow, there's another one. Oh wow, there's another one.
But that oh wow, I can even feel, has got an element of, will the next one be green?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. That's how you're seeing it, perhaps.
That's how I'm feeling it. That's why I specifically use those words. And that's why Abram says it's easier for people to learn to meditate or to slow thought than it is to focus on what you want. Mm-hmm. Because what you want has got the counterpart sitting close to it. It's just there. It's just there, you know. I'm focusing on the lights being green because I'm worried that maybe they won't at some stage. To actually be clear only on what you want is really tricky. It's incredibly tripping over, you know. It's something you learn to ease into. You just, you know, hey,
but,
wouldn't it be nice? That's why that's very powerful. Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, but Louis, isn't there's a 4-step process to get from, what is it, negative,
focusedly negative, generally negative, generally positive, focusedly positive, yes.
I missed all that, but yeah.
Generally negative, focusedly negative, generally positive, focusedly positive.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what I'm saying is, even once you've worked yourself up that scale on a subject, like green lights, okay, it's still tricky to remain on that other edge all the time.
Oh, I'd say practically
possible, exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the contrast kicks in at some stage, and you can hold it for a little while, and if you can hold it longer than 14 seconds, then the universal law of attraction will amplify it.
Yes.
Okay. But the important thing I've learned is to appreciate the negativity. That has been the huge thing in my life with the Abram teaching, is like, wow, I'm negative. That's great. That means I know what I don't want. Now I know what I do want. That's cool. That's cool. So how quickly can I turn? And that becomes very clear after a while.
So
and then there's no worry about dropping back into the negative, because you don't look at it as negative. You now look at it as an expansion point. So it's like, cool, I don't mind bouncing back and forth, because that's the design of the physical universe. Why hate it? Why have problems with it? Why stress about it? Why get angry about it? Why?
So the fact that you feel negative means that you haven't caught up with the expansion that is happening.
Yes.
So if you realize that, then, well, I mean, it takes a little bit of time to realize that and to work your way through that. But, I mean, that's what Abraham says. It's just the expansion that's happening, and you haven't caught up with it. That's why you feel negative.
Mm-hmm. It's precisely it.
So how do we get with the expansion? How do we catch up with the expansion that's taking place?
Well, the important thing to do is to, and I say this again and again, I think I've already said it about 3 times on this podcast, is to clearly understand the law of attraction. Understand that it isn't negative, the expansion points. Do you really get that? You know, or is this just a nice concept somebody's throwing around? So have you fully grasped and appreciated that there is no negativity? Doesn't exist. Never has, never will, unless you think of it as such.
I think there's another way of thinking about the same thing, because as I think about the way you're wording it doesn't really match with the way I think about it, but the pattern does match. So let me tell you what I mean by that. Go back to the green light example. Every time I get that green light, I'll celebrate it. I'll think, oh, wow, there's another one. Oh, wow, there's another one. Oh, wow, there's another one. And I really don't have any concern about whether there's going to be a red light. Because if I do get a red light, my immediate reaction was, wow, wasn't that a great run of green lights?
Yep.
I don't even care about the red light. The red light was irrelevant at that point.
That is absolutely perfect, Walt. And from somebody in your position who has studied the law of attraction, understands it, that is the length and depth and breadth of the understanding that you should be living with, and the way you should be creating it. And, I give you full marks for that. That was a
well,
test, you get 10 out of 10. But a lot of our listeners are trying to understand the law of attraction and to grasp how the whole process works. So, the whole thing that remaining positive is really challenging, but you have now taken the red light as not a negative now. It's like, it's a positive because you're now appreciating all the green lights instead of focusing on the red light. Yeah. So you've now taken a potential negative for many people, and you've now said, wow, this is actually a brilliant run of greens. And that's all you're thinking about. There's nothing else in your head. Okay. And then that's absolutely spot on. Then even if for a fraction of a second, a red light, and then you said, I really appreciate all the greens. There was a small part where you went from what you didn't want to what you wanted. And it's that shortening of that period of time that is the definition of a master.
I see what you mean. In fact, you brought another story to mind about red lights and green lights. And it's one that goes back, this is 30, 40 years ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. But I remember a time where I was driving and I came upon an intersection, and my conclusion after the fact was that the traffic light was in some way malfunctioning. It wasn't functioning properly. But in the context of our current conversation, I'm wondering if I was time shifting. And what I experienced was this. I don't remember how many green lights I'd gotten, but things were going well. I remember I felt good. I do remember that. And I came to the light, and just as I got there, it turned red-green. Now, I would normally at that time, because I knew nothing about law of attraction at that time, I would normally have just said, it's just a malfunctioning traffic light, and I'll just not worry about it. I'll just go through the green light. Now, I'm not so sure. But it was quick. It was like, how the signal goes green, yellow, red. It went green, yellow, red, green. I felt bad for the guys at the intersection. Like, wait a minute, hold on. I didn't even get to go through.
You need to time shift during those phases of green so you get through it like that.
So now I'm wondering, what was that?
It was a practice scenario for time shifting.
Yeah, that's what it was.
You didn't get it?
It was fodder for a conversation on a podcast 40 years later.
That's right. So recently, I got the Jaguar, and I've been absolutely stunned at how much I'm appreciating it. Because, I expected to like it, but I wasn't expecting to have that much appreciation.
That's nice.
And I'm sitting in this car and just thinking, oh my God, this is just so nice. There's so many aspects. There's so much attention to detail. There's so, that you're just sitting there and you're like, wow, man. Guys have got these smart cars and they don't even appreciate it, I'm sure, But this, to me, is just amazing. I love the idea that if my tires go a little bit down, the sensor will tell me. I don't even have to get out and pump them up or look at them or check them.
Oh, we have that too.
Us lesser car owners do the same thing, yes.
Yes, we have all those lovely little helpers as well. And we don't have a Jaguar. But we appreciate it very much
Yes.
the same way that you do.
But you can. It doesn't really matter what car
Yes.
you've got. It really doesn't matter.
No, I love our car. I love it.
To me, it's the contrast between where I was with my car to where I am. You know, if
Sure.
I went from an older Jag to a newer Jag, I probably wouldn't be that impressed. Or, you know, I went from a BMW to a Jag or something. There wouldn't be that level of, you know, appreciation. So, you know, you look for contrast in your life so that you can appreciate things. And it's just so smooth. You know, the brakes are like silk, you know, compared to my old car. It's like, wow, you know, I didn't even know they made them this smooth. Well, I mean, I do a lot of rentals. I drive a lot of rentals and things like that along the way. So I get a fair amount of different vehicles, but I'm still significantly more impressed with the Jag than all the other ones that I've driven recently, except the Volvo was quite nice. But, you know, you're just sitting there and you've got these little air vents that pop up and your little, you've got this little automatic gear stick thing pop up out of the out of the middle section, and then you just rotate it a little bit to change the gears. It's like so cool. It's you know, a lot of these things are just really, really simple things, but you know, I really appreciate it. You've got 11 speakers in this car. You can turn the volume up as high as you want, and there's zero distortion. But you can't turn it up full blast because you'll blow your eardrums to pieces. So
that's
the highest you ever get is to about half, and you're just sitting there going, "Wow," you know. My old car was nothing like that.
No, I think what was really interesting for me, the bit that was really interesting for me was not all the, you know, description of all the bits of your car, but what you said about going through the contrast so that you can appreciate those two words, you know, experiencing the contrast so that you can learn to appreciate. And I think that's really the message in everything that you've said.
Yeah. So even things like the side mirrors folding in, and you don't have a parking brake anymore. The parking brake is automatic. You know, you never turn it on or off. You never turn your lights on and off. You know, you go through a bit of a shady tree thing and the lights come on automatically and then they go off again. You know, it's like you go through a tunnel and they go on by themselves, they go off. Everything's just so automatic. You don't even have to take the key out of your pocket. You walk up to the door and you open it, sit in the car, you press the start button. You know, everything is just totally automatic. You never need to take a key out and lock it or do anything. It's just automatic. So, you know, it's just such an appreciation on the whole design, and you start seeing all the pieces of the puzzle that they had to put together to get the car into that shape and size, and the amount of thought processes and the amount of technicians and the amount of calculations. I mean, the thing has had a huge computer on it to deal with all the scenarios, you know. The automatic stop-start, you know, when you stop your car at a traffic light and the engine goes off. And then when you put your foot on the accelerator, it turns on again. We take a foot off the brake, I think. So, you know, that's completely automated. But that process won't work unless there's about 50 other parameters. The engine has to be warm enough and this and that. It's like, how does it work all this out?
I think Louis, most cars are the same nowadays because
a lot of.
Yeah, but, you know...
But I love the Rampage because, I mean, you're just hitting on all of these little points that you just absolutely love. And now, Jeffrey hasn't even stopped his Rampage, by the way.
Cool.
He went on after what he wrote before. He said, I appreciate the ability to pivot gracefully. I appreciate Walt as my technological proxy today. I appreciate my own 2 feet in the environmentally friendly ways I get around in answer to the car. I appreciate all the money I save by not having car payments or insurance or gas prices. I appreciate the luxury of taking my time enjoying the journeys of life, and I appreciate that my wealth allows me to get around however and whenever I want.
I love that because I was on a train from Budapest in Hungary to France, and on the train I was in a sleeping compartment with this guy, and he had his little daughter with her. She was about 11, 12 years old, and I was chatting to him and I said, why are you taking your daughter to Spain by train? I mean, it's like a 1-hour flight from Budapest. So he said to me, well, I don't want her to have the idea that time and space is so short, like just flying there just takes 1 hour. I want her to actually see that it actually takes a heck of a long time to get there. So I'm taking her via train this time. And it's like, wow. That's the most fascinating idea ever. And, we're really enjoying the trip. And you're looking at the Austrian Alps. And as we cruised through that to Zurich and all the way, and he was pointing all these things out to his daughter and, just having a good chat and all the rest of it. So it was fascinating that he had taken the time. He obviously had more than enough money, but he had taken the time to take her on this long train trip. And, yeah, it's important to also understand distance, We kind of very spoiled in this day and age, very spoiled.
Well, it's a form of appreciation. I mean, when you were talking about your car, I was thinking about my car experience over the past 5 or 6 years, because January 2014, we moved back from Virginia to Connecticut with no money. Our cars were both dead. We didn't own a car. We barely had an apartment. My wife barely had a job. And financially, we're just in a horrible, horrible mess. And despite all that, we managed to walk into a dealership and walk out with 2 brand new cars, one of which was a Toyota Camry that I drove for the next 3 years. And then I got another Camry for the next 3 years. Well, that second 3-year lease is up. So I've been going with these Toyota Camrys that I love very much for the last 6 years. But an interesting thing has happened. When I first got that first Camry, I mean, that was just like manna from heaven. That was wonderful. Now the Camry isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Same car.
You've expanded.
I have expanded.
Yeah. It's like me with the Jag. After, had it for an afternoon. I think I want the newer model.
Right.
That hasn't got that. I would like that. I want that. So, yeah, I mean, when you start understanding that it's contrast that's your teacher, you stop having such a headache about, the rich man and their stuff. Because you're realizing that everybody's just playing with contrast. Yes. And just different people are playing with different contrast. And who cares what contrast anybody's playing with? Mind your own contrast. So, I was trying to wonder why man is so intent on appreciating the wealthy people. Okay, or some people aren't, but hey, you got that angle too. But I'm talking a lot of people like really well. They've really made it. They've done it.
Yeah, that's
look
really
at the
good
house,
question.
and then I was starting. What are they looking at? And then it's like looking at the house. You're looking at the car. You're looking at their clothes. And they're looking at physical manifestations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start realizing that the reason a lot of people appreciate the wealthy people, respect them, I suppose, not necessarily everybody will appreciate them. Some people can't stand those
That's true.
snotty-nosed rich bitches. But, it's because of the manifestation, And what Abram is saying is the reason why you might look at them as being not so nice, I won't use the word again. Don't want Walt to beat me too many times.
I tried to turn the beeper off, but I understand.
So is because they're perceiving the contrast from where they're at to where that person is at. And Abrams often said that the contrast that they're feeling in themselves of the lack is what's making them feel frustrated or angry, etc.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting when you start looking at it. I've never met anybody who's said, I hate that rich person or whatever. That's not feeling the lack. You can really see it when they're saying it now. I mean, I've become hyper aware of it now, but you can start seeing when somebody's focused on what they want and what they don't want, and you start seeing it very clearly, with absolute clarity, and you start saying, okay. With that knowledge and with that clarity and with that seeing that easily, you can easily bring out in people, okay, I know what you don't want now. Wouldn't it be nice to have that? And just by talking about that yourself to them for a little while, about visualizing what it would be like on the other side, not saying they need to do it or anything, just saying, oh, I can see, that this is not where you're at, but this is what you don't like, so I can understand what it would be like on the other side. And you just start yabbering on about it, oh, it would be great to have a car that's got these automatic mirrors and this everything. So, yeah, it's great because you really get the contrast as your teacher, And if you do have a guru or a mentor or somebody, they are generally, if they're a good one, they're throwing contrast at you.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That's what they're doing to teach you. Mm-hmm. And they're being good mirrors to teach you. And it's really, you start realizing that you can create your own contrast. You can be your own guru. You can be your own teacher. And you can just play with it all yourself. You don't really need to go outside yourself for anything. And that's what any good teacher does teach you. Is to go inside, kingdom of heavens within, or, all that kind of stuff. And it's said everywhere from all different teachers and masters, they get you to find your own power. Christ said, you can do everything I can and more. Mm-hmm. So we all need to start walking on water tomorrow, but no, we need to start swimming in the ground. That's the more part.
Richard Bach knows that one. Yeah. I think it was in the Da Vinci Code. They said maybe they'll do better with turning the water into the wine, but either way. But I was noticing as you were describing that, and really that was a wonderful rampage too. There are a few ways to deal with that question, that topic of how am I looking at rich people? How am I looking at people who are better off than I am? And you described some very nicely there. There are a few others I'd throw in. I'd mentioned that I've learned a lot just by listening to Joel Elston talk about some of the clients he has who are extremely wealthy, who have absolutely messed up relationships in their lives. And you realize they got one part of it right. The other part they're having trouble with. The part they're having trouble with is the part I got nailed perfectly. I got that one down pat. So it just goes to show you don't have to have them up on that pedestal when you start looking at it that way. You realize, hey, even they have their issues too. Everybody's got their issues that they're dealing with. Everybody's got their opportunities. And then that's when I start to really appreciate, this is the second part, that's where I really start to appreciate the Abraham Hicks message, which is just focus on what feels good. When you focus on what feels good, that's the whole thing. Mm. You don't have to worry about understanding how the law of attraction works. You don't have to worry about, did I focus on the red light or the green light? You don't have to worry about whether or not I'm too focused on what I don't like about the Camry. You have to worry about any of that. What do you like right now? What feels good? That's it. That's the whole deal. When you got that, you got it.
It's simple.
Startlingly.
Startlingly.
It's fun, simple, and magical, but nobody said it was going to be easy.
Well, that's all that, and we can go now.
Well, actually, we can in about 7 minutes. We're almost done, but it really is
nice one, Walt. That's great. Yeah. I think fundamentally that's what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's your emotional guidance system. What feels good? What feels better? And then what feels good? It's just working your way up. And it's good to know. It's good to know what that table of emotions is in a way. It's good to have a sense of, okay, right at the top there's the joy, in the middle there's sort of contentment, satisfaction, going down to boredom, anger sort of thing, and then right at the bottom is that despair and depression and fear and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. So everything in between is like, okay, everything in between. So where am I going? Can I get to contentment, satisfaction, and then work my way up from there? It's a really great guidance system. It's a great table of emotional states.
Yeah, the thing that I'm loving what you're saying, Astrid, goes back to my point I mentioned earlier, is understand the law of attraction / Abraham Hicks teaching. Because Abraham Hicks teaching is a little bit more than LOA. So you're pointing out the emotional guidance scale and you understand it. You memorized it, okay, which is part of the learning process. And I found once I memorized it, depression, revenge, rage, anger, frustration, don't care, hope, expectation, etc. Once you know that scale off by heart, when you can live it, and when you see somebody in depression, you're immediately thinking, revenge. How do I get them into revenge? But
yeah.
But you're not thinking how to get them into happy. You know what I mean?
No,
immediately.
You're quite clear that let's get them the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get them the next step.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to help people. You really feel empowered. And I was saying the other day to somebody, the biggest advantage anybody will get from the law of attraction, bar none, is the beautiful sense of being able to dream again and to have your dreams manifest. And to me, that's the most beautiful thing that LOA has allowed me to do again, is to dream. Because I didn't realize that not believing in my dreams, not believing that it would manifest because of my previous experience, was hindering me as much as it was. I mean, I had no idea until LOA just blew the lid off that completely. I can think of anything I want, and I don't need to go out and get it. I just need to hold the image of it. That's my job. That's my job. The universal law of attraction of its own power can help manifest anything in many different ways. All I need to do is just hold a little bit image of what I want in my mind for a while. And that's very empowering. It's so empowering.
It truly is, and it's a wonderful thing to have grasped those little nuggets. I mean, we say those nuggets, and somebody who hasn't gone through the amount of well, I don't want to say experience, but practice with this, struggling with it, learning it, whatever, may not totally grasp what it is you're saying. But there's a beauty in what you're saying. There's a beauty in it, and a piece in it that's just amazing. You made a comment earlier too that I was kind of thinking about when later on you were talking about the guidance scale. You made the point about I don't remember how you phrased it exactly, but celebrating is the way I would say it. Celebrating that negative thing that happened. I think perhaps another way that I would prefer to say it would be embracing it. And it raises an interesting question that therapists deal with every single day. If you're dealing with depression, how do you embrace depression? Because that's essentially what you have to do there. It's not easy to do.
Well, it's not difficult if you break it down to the basic logic, is that depression is a contrast, and you know what you don't want, don't you? Most depressed people have a fairly clear idea what they don't want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's what they do want that they have trouble with.
Yeah, but write down what you don't want, and then on the next page, write down the opposite of it. And it's so simple that it's not fully understood, because the challenge is what you don't want on this piece of paper and what you do want on that piece of paper, the gap's too big.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Okay, so the Abraham Hicks now says, well, here's the middle part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
take that small step up.
Yeah. I mean, really, there's a huge difference in vibration between revenge and depression.
Yeah.
I mean, they're cheese and chalk. And it's definitely lighter going to revenge. Definitely feels better.
And we're not saying that you should actively act out revenge. We're just saying get to the feeling part of it. I mean, acting revenge will probably get you into more of the negative stuff you don't want. So I'd probably stay away from that.
Well, I like the way Abraham puts it. When you get into the revenge state, they'll give you some more pills to keep you depressed.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my!
You're just too difficult to handle now.
Yeah, just medicate it. It'll go away. Right. No, that's not true, actually. But, hey, with 1 minute left, I want to make sure I remind people who are not yet subscribers to become subscribers. And I have to say, this has been paying off doing this, because we have had this huge influx of new listeners
I've been
over
watching,
the last 4
yeah.
or 5 months. It's been fabulous. So if you're among those who are not yet a subscriber, just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and it will walk you right through the process so that you can become a subscriber and get all 5 episodes we're doing every week. So become a subscriber. I'll do the short version today. I won't do all the other stuff. I'll just leave it at that. But Astrid and Louis, thank you for all your insights. And
thank you, Walt. Thank you very much, Astrid. And I just wanted to thank all the listeners too. If you guys have got any questions, please don't hesitate to either come on live or just put them on the website so we can answer them.
Or just like Jeffrey, if you can't come on live, just go to the live stream and type your stuff there. We pick it up. It's just it's the same thing. So absolutely, without our subscribers, without our listeners, it wouldn't be nearly as fun. It's so much more fun having all those people listening, and it gets more and more fun every day. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Astrid. Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Jeffrey, listening on the live stream. Thank you, all of our listeners. We'll see you all next time here on Elevate Today. Goodbye, everybody.